Now at noon, the snow is falling and we are under an alert day. We have team coverage on the First Warn forecast along with live drive on the roads. Plus, a local community debating on whether to keep fluoride in the water supply. How people from both sides call it a public health issue. This is News 3 Now at noon. Well, thanks for joining us on this very wintry Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Breiter with the First Warn weather team. Of course, been tracking these alert days all week, and now the snow is falling across southern Wisconsin. Our team coverage at noon starts with meteorologist Jacob Montesano with the latest storm track. Hi, Jacob.
Hey Josh, yeah, seeing that snow right now out here on the patio. It's kind of picked up over the last 5 minutes or so. Overall, still pretty light to moderate, but that's going to be the case for much of today. Taking a look at the current radar, you can see some of the heavier bands of snow to the south of Dane County, specifically to the southwest. And some of those heavier bands are kind of solidifying and pushing into the rest of southern Wisconsin. So even though most of our area may not see snow particularly heavy at any given point, the fact that this snow is not going away anytime soon is the reason we are going to see that accumulation. But as I mentioned, the snow is kind of picking up right now. Here's a look at the Queen Bee radio sky cam from Platteville showing clearly that falling snowfall and fairly low visibility, although the visibility isn't too hazardous. Definitely noticeable at times, but right now not too bad. Here's another sky cam. This is from Dodgeville, also showing that falling snow. So pretty much everywhere from Madison southward seeing that snowfall. Far northern counties haven't seen quite that much, but I do still expect to see some accumulation for you folks. Taking a look at the current visibility, most of the area at 1 mile to 2 miles. So again, not too hazardous. The visibility isn't as big of a problem here as it is closer to Lake Michigan. The bigger issue with south central Wisconsin, though, is the roads. Now, as we take a look at future track, we are going to continue to see the snowfall, and at times it could get heavy, especially during those evening hours where a lot of people may be driving home. So that evening commute may be very treacherous, on top of the fact that we're going to continue to see some light accumulation continue throughout the afternoon. Right now here on the patio, we have about 1 inch on the ground, and I assume that's the case for a lot of Dane County. A little bit more to the south where some heavier bands have formed. But I'll continue talking more about this and 2 other alert days that are still in the forecast. That's right, we have 3 right now. I'll have the details on both of those coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob. We'll see you then. Thank you. We also have meteorologist Blaze Keller. He's on the live drive at this hour. Hi, Blaze. How are the roads?
Yeah, we are out on Fish Hatchery Road heading towards the Beltline right now. The roads are still looking pretty okay. There are some lanes that are more covered than others, and I can switch the camera over for you so you can see that. We're at the temperature where some of that salt more or less is kind of ineffective. The lower the temperature, the salt on the roads is not as effective. So we'll probably continue to see crews out and about applying not only salt, but sand as well. And folks at home, you may want to apply some sand out there. As me and Bubba, my photog and driver this afternoon, were heading out to Fish Hatchery Road, we even saw some people already beginning to plow their driveways. So this is going to be a long duration snow event. We're not going to be kind of getting a big long enough break. We're going to be inundated or seeing this snow falling throughout the rest of the day. And as Jacob mentioned, we're anticipating the heaviest snow to ramp back up here as we go into your evening commute. So expect conditions like what you're seeing on your screen right now. The lanes somewhat covered to somewhat clear. And if you do see any plows out there through the city or private plows clearing the roads, make sure that you're giving them their space so that they can get ahead of the snow that's falling and keep up with the snow that is going to continue to fall. So with that, I'm going to send it back to you, Josh, in the studio. We're going to continue to drive around, and it does look like the Beltline, looking over, is a little bit backed up now. So you may want to avoid that as you're heading out this afternoon.
All right, Blaze and Bubba, the dream team out on the roads. You two stay safe. We'll check in with you a little bit later on. Well, several communities are under snow emergencies right now. Those are Janesville, Evansville, Beloit, Clinton, Lodi, McFarland, and Blue Mounds. During a snow emergency, you cannot park your car on the street. If you do, you can be fined or your car could get towed. More details, including other places you can park your car, are on channel3000.com. The city of Madison has not declared a snow emergency. Leaders in Dane and Rock County say they are ready to take on the snow. Dane County is using 62 snow plows across more than 4,200 miles of roadways. In Beloit, 25 winter vehicles will be on their city streets and alleyways. 16 will plow and clear city parking lots and sidewalks. Staff at child care centers say this work is crucial because of the domino effects of closing for the day.
Well, our snow days, we will make every opportunity to be open just because our families have to go to work. So when the school does call off school, we are open for all the children that are enrolled.
City of Beloit officials say they still have 4,000 tons of salt, which will last them through the rest of the season. Remember, you can stay on top of the alert day conditions by downloading the free First Warn weather app. It is available wherever you get your apps. Right now, DeForest residents continue to question the move to remove fluoride from drinking water. This comes after the village board voted 4-3 to remove the ion. Our Maddie Heims reports on what comes next.
People are scared because it's a health issue. It's not like putting in a pool or putting in a road. It has to do with people's kids.
Megan Harrier is a DeForest mom of 2.
I've heard, well, if there's no fluoride in the water, just brush your teeth more. Which seems easy enough to say, but when you have sensory processing difficulties, brushing your teeth more is just not an answer.
Her son Lucas has autism. In their house, that makes dental work a challenge and fluoridated water a blessing.
My son has problems with just what he puts in his mouth for eating, let alone, having fluoride treatments and taking pills.
Since the village board voted last week to remove fluoride from the community water supply, nearly 300 DeForest residents have signed this petition. But after a records request revealed communications between an outside anti-fluoride activist and village trustees, I took the records to the board members themselves. How do you respond to community members that feel like maybe you're listening to outside advocates more than your own constituents?
I don't have a right to stop somebody from coming and speaking in our public meetings. And I have a right to invite somebody to come and speak. Everybody has a right to come and speak.
She did email me 6 times with information, her point of view, which anybody could do. You could have done the same thing.
Rebecca Witherspoon and Bill Landgraf were 2 of the 4 votes to remove fluoride, beating out 3 votes to keep it. After social media was flooded with concerns about the vote, I asked them both how they came to their decision.
It's my duty to, yes, listen to what the people are saying, but it's also my duty to mitigate any potential harm to the people at my village.
As for putting the issue on the ballot,
if we put everything on a referendum that happens to be controversial, we'll never get anything done.
I think we need to move on as a community.
But for parents like Megan, moving on just means more questions.
If I have to get fluoride treatments, my insurance doesn't cover this. How expensive is it going to be? What does this mean for my family?
Reporting in DeForest, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
The village of DeForest is scheduled to end the use of fluoride on March 7th. Still ahead for us on a Wednesday afternoon, how Netflix fans can get a one-of-a-kind dining experience, plus why Coca-Cola's CEO says it may ramp up the use of plastic bottles and raise prices.
Coca-Cola's CEO says it may ramp up use of plastic bottles and raise prices due to President Donald Trump's 25% tariff on aluminum imports. The beverage company currently imports aluminum for cans from Canada, though it could shift to look for domestic aluminum sources. Last year, Coca-Cola cut its sustainability goals with a goal of using 35 to 40% of recycled material by 2035, down from the previous goal of 50%. Missouri's Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against Starbucks, claiming its diversity, equity, and inclusion practices violate federal and state law. The complaint claims that the coffee chain isn't hiring the most qualified people, resulting in slower service and higher prices. Starbucks says it disagrees with the suit and that the claims are inaccurate. And now Netflix fans can get a one-of-a-kind dining experience in Las Vegas. Netflix Bites is now open at the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino with menu items and decor inspired by some of the streaming service's most popular shows like Bridgerton, Stranger Things, and Squid Game. The culinary residency lasts for 1 year and builds off of the success of the previous Netflix Bites pop-up in Los Angeles. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Chanel Call.
Here's a look at the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is down 174 points, NASDAQ is up 16, and the S&P 500 is down 12. Our call for action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Remember, you can call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Back to our live look at the roads right now. This is a look at the Beltline, and we've been looking at a crash on the Beltline. There's a slowdown right now. That crash was in the eastbound lanes of the Beltline at Monona Drive. I'm told that crash just cleared, but you can still see quite a few slowdowns out there. So if you do have to be out on the roads, take it slow. Give yourself some extra time and some extra space so you can get to where you are going safely. Pam has your farm numbers straight ahead, and Jacob returns with the first warn forecast. And later on Live at 4, we continue our team coverage on this snowy alert day. Farm report, it is a winter wonderland across Wisconsin, Pam.
I can handle this. This isn't too bad. I mean, like we had thought about, maybe more on the way, but so far so good, except for that person that you said giving Blaze something to look like on look at the Beltline. And I do like that, Blaze and Bubba. We've got some new tags coming up. No, weather has nothing to do necessarily with what we're talking about today. A lot of people have said to me, what's happening with some of the federal funding that farmers depend on? Well, nothing, quite honestly. Remember, farmers have invested a lot of time and in some cases equipment for different conservation practices around their farms, out in their farm fields. What we're hearing from farm organizations is it's a wait and see situation. My assistant Stephanie Off talked to people at Organic Valley. They have a climate smart project that was being funded to the tune of about $25 million in federal monies that's been paused. Organic Valley tells us that all they can say right now is that they've received notice about a temporary pause and a review of the program. It's their understanding that reimbursement claims will not be acted on until further notice. However, Organic Valley went on to say that they're in a wait-and-see mode, but still committed to meaningful action with farmers who want to make improvements on the farm. But like I said, $25 million on hold there. Edge Dairy Farmer Cooperative, some of the same. They are in a wait-and-see situation as well. Edge Dairy Farmer Cooperative had a climate smart project that was $50 million funded by the federal government. So those two examples of how farmers in Wisconsin ultimately could be impacted if the federal government does not continue with some of those funds that they were expecting. We know obviously things like University of Wisconsin-Madison and College of Ag and Life Sciences could see some of the same. So wait and see. We'll wait and see what is going on. We're waiting to see what kind of weather patterns come over South America. We had a World Ag Supply Demand report that came out yesterday, and basically what it told us is that South America, Argentina in particular, is hot and dry, so they backed off a bit on their expectations there. Brazil has been more wet. Not a big deal as far as the harvest necessarily, but it does pose some problems for their second crop. When Brazil harvests soybeans, they come right behind those soybeans with corn, and that's the crop that could be impacted. So keeping an eye on the developing weather patterns in South America. Dairy markets today, the barrel cheese is up a penny at 1.82 3/4. 40-pound block cheese up a penny and a quarter at 1.92. But Josh, what the market giveth, the market can take away. Butter today down 2.5 after gaining about a nickel yesterday. We're still at 2.40.5 per pound. We got to come up with our own phrase, buddy.
I know. I was just thinking about that.
That would sell. You know that would sell.
Oh, for sure. Farm Babe and Josh. It's the best time of the noon hour,
we gotta
right?
come up with something. We got to come up with something. Maybe the audience has got suggestions.
We'll brainstorm, maybe over happy hour sometime. How's that sound?
You read my mind. You read my mind.
All right, Farm Babe, you make it home safe this afternoon. We'll talk to you later.
All right, you too. Yep, you too, buddy. See ya.
Let's get to that alert day forecast. First, Warn meteorologist Jacob Montesano has the latest radar. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Josh. Yeah, we continue to see some of those heavier bands of snow pushing into southern Wisconsin. Notice, though, that those heavy bands kind of capping out around northern Dane County and areas just to the northeast of that. So places near the Dells are not seeing quite as much snow, but Madison and areas south still expected to see quite a bit. Now, as we take a look at the alert day information, everyone's still expected to get around 3 inches. Again, maybe a little bit less further north, but areas to the south of Madison could possibly have isolated totals above 6 inches as we're going to continue to see this snowfall throughout the day and into the overnight hours. Now, taking a look at the roads, the pink are labeled as slippery and the blue is snow covered. So the good news is that there's a lot more slippery than snow covered, but in all cases, we are experiencing some hazardous travel out there. As we mentioned earlier, we already have some crashes, specifically on the Beltline, and even that is just labeled as slippery. So that may end up being snow covered with some of those heavier snow rates still expected to impact the region. So let's take a look at the current traffic as well. Obviously a pretty big backup on the eastbound Beltline, but pretty much everywhere just a little slow. Not as bad on the highway, Interstate 39, but notice all of westbound and eastbound Beltlines in that yellow, considering a lot of people are driving slow, and most of the areas in the downtown region are slow at this hour. So looking at the forecast throughout the day, again, the snow is not going anywhere today. In fact, at times we may see that snow pick up a little bit, especially during the evening hours. But once we get closer to around 8 to 9 p.m., the snow will begin to break up. Could see some lingering flurries early in the morning Thursday, but once we get to sunrise Thursday, we are going to be dry. Total accumulation, again, right around 6 inches is possible for Madison and areas to the south. Places to the north won't see quite as much, but again, everyone is still expect to see that accumulation and is still expect to see the snow continue for much of the day. But as we talk about the next alert day, we're going to possibly be seeing more accumulating snow Friday into Saturday. It looks like it'll kind of start Friday afternoon and continue Saturday morning. So as we take a look at the forecast for this, again, most of our area expect to see snow during Friday evening. That's when it looks like the snow will be the heaviest, and then we'll get a little bit of a break overnight, but then more snow is expected to move into our region for Saturday morning and afternoon before clearing out Saturday night. Now, as far as how much snow we're going to see from this one, it's still a bit unclear as models are still very inconsistent in the track of this system, but we do expect to see at least around 3 to 6 inches, which is what we're going to see today for a lot of the region. But then there's a third alert day, this time for the cold weather, as wind chills are going to get into the negative 20s for Sunday and Monday. So after this second system, Sunday morning, we're going to have very cold wind chills, and it's only going to get worse throughout the day Sunday. Monday morning, wind chills could be in the negative 30s. So there's a lot of winter on the way, and the important thing to point out is that the snow that we're going to see today and the snow we're going to see Friday and Saturday not going anywhere because of those temperatures. The reason the alert day is ending Monday is because although it will still be cold Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for that matter, it's not going to be as windy. But take a look at that. Several mornings in a row, we're going to have lows below zero. So even though it's not going to be as snowy next week, the snow is going to stay on the ground, and it's going to be very.
It's time to start thinking about what we can make for dinner that looks fancy and is tasty without breaking the bank. So after checking our website and cookbooks for some ideas, we came up with a new spin on chicken marsala that's perfect for two and is clean your plate good. All we do is coat a couple of skinless, boneless chicken breasts with a bit of seasoned flour and saute them in a mixture of vegetable oil and butter till they're golden. Then we take them out and add a bit more butter before tossing in some cut up mushrooms and onions. After they're tender, we deglaze the pan with some chicken broth and a splash of marsala wine, along with a bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Once that thickens up, the chicken goes back in until it's cooked through and it's ready to serve. Just make sure you don't forget to spoon lots of the sauce over each piece, because that's the best part. And when you cut into this, get ready for one of the most tender and flavor-packed dishes you've had in a long time. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our chicken marsala for two. This, along with a few candles, a glass of champagne, and a little soft music, will give you all the makings for the perfect Valentine's Day dinner. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a romantic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's Blaze with a final check of the live drive. Blaze?
Yes, Josh and folks at home, we are heading south on East Washington towards the Capitol, which you may be able to see in the background. Roads are still very much covered. There's definitely some slick spots, especially when you're turning. We've seen plows out and about trying to keep up with this. Did want to mention that before you hit the roads quickly, you can always check the traffic by heading to our website underneath the weather tab in the traffic section. Jacob, I'll send it back to you for a final look at the weather.
Yeah, those heavier bands continuing to push to the north, and right now it looks like Madison will see some moderate to heavy snow over the next 30 minutes as there is that heavier band just to the west, but pretty much everywhere from Madison southward seeing those heavier bands move in. Still not seeing a lot to the north, but I do expect to see some accumulation still before the day is up. But even if we don't see a ton of accumulation today for you northern folks, Friday and Saturday, everyone will likely see more accumulation. So we're going to have another alert day for that, with a third alert day for the cold early next week as those temperatures will plummet starting Sunday.
All right, Jacob and Blaze, thank you. Thanks for joining us. More live team coverage at 4.